This week on Illegal Aliens, Liz Parker survives a gunshot, Max Evans hogs the bathroom pass, and Sheriff Valenti nearly arrests his own son. We're looking at the pilot, episode 1 of season 1 of Roswell. I'm Chris.
And I'm Claire. And this is Illegal Aliens, a Roswell podcast. Every week we'll recap the important plot elements of the episode, have a conversation about the story and theme, and give it some kind of rating.
The pilot episode of Roswell aired in the first week of October 1999. It was written by Jason Katims and directed by David Nutter.
And both of them have both won major Emmy Awards since Roswell finished. Katims won Best Writer in 2011 for the season finale of Friday Night Lights, and Nutter won Best Director in 2015 for an episode of Game of Thrones.
That's cool. It's nice to see them get some recognition for doing good work.
Yes. Right, let's start the recap.
In the Crashdown Cafe, Liz and Maria serve food to tourists. Two dangerous customers wrestle over a gun, a shot is fired, and Max rushes over to Liz, pleading, "You have to look at me." She does. Max catches a glimpse of Liz as a little girl, and she's healed. Max breaks a bottle of ketchup and asks her not to say anything and hurries out the door. Liz stares after him, a confused look on her face.
Moments later, Liz reassures her father. Valenti comes to ask questions, and two annoying tourists raise a question of their own. Where's the bullet? Liz hurries upstairs to be alone, pokes a finger through the bullet hole in her uniform smock, and sees the glowing handprint where Max has touched her.
The next day at school, Max escapes with the bathroom pass after hearing that they'll be looking at cheek cell samples under the microscope. But Liz is able to find cells on the pencil Max was chewing, and she sees something strange. After class, she confronts Max in the music room. He confesses that he's an alien and asks her to keep the secret.
Out near a roadside food truck, Max tells Isabel and Michael how he broke their pact. They're both pissed, and Michael storms off.
After a date with Liz, Kyle sees the handprint and asks her about it. Liz tries to convince him he imagined it.
Max calls Liz down from the balcony, mentions the cupcake dress he saw in the flashes, and reverses the psychic connection so Liz can see what it's like. She sees Max and Isabel as little kids out on the desert, other glimpses of Max's life, and is blown away by seeing herself through his eyes.
Valenti brings Liz to his office, shows her a picture of a dead man with a handprint, and asks Liz to show him the handprint on her, but it's gone. He returns her empty book bag, and Liz realizes that he kept the uniform.
After Liz leaves, Valenti gives the uniform to an FBI agent, who ridicules him and lists the other crazy leads he has to follow up on.
Liz demands more answers from Max, threatening to go to Valenti and tell everything she knows. Max tells her about incubation pods and demonstrates reshaping a clay sculpture into a featureless lump and back again. He says that Liz is the first person they've told, ever. Liz tells Max that Valenti suspects him about the handprint corpse in the photo from 1959. Max panics, runs, and when Liz tries to follow, she loses him in a crowd of kids wearing alien outfits for the festival.
Maria comes to Liz and also threatens to go to Valenti if Liz doesn't tell her everything. Liz does, Maria flips out and drives away with Liz in the passenger seat. Liz spots Max driving the other way and a wacky chase scene ensues.
All five of them meet in a dark alley. Michael threatens Liz, says that she shouldn't have anything to do with them, but Liz tells him she has a plan. Max wants to surrender himself to Valenti to save Isabel and Michael, but Isabel asks Liz for her plan.
Liz goes to Kyle, charming him and promising to meet him at the heart of the festival. Max lets Valenti find and handcuff him.
Isabel pretends to hit Maria with her own car. Wearing a full mask and golden cape, Michael goes to Maria and marks her with a handprint in silver paint, then runs away when Valenti chases him. Valenti loses the caped figure in the crowd, then finds him and unmasks him, but it's Kyle.
Valenti returns to demand answers of Max, but Max plays innocent very convincingly. When the gun went off, I ran away. Did I do anything wrong? Valenti lets him go, but vows to watch him closely.
Max joins Isabel and Michael in time to see the height of the festivities, a model ship crash landing and spilling flaming alien bodies over the rocks. The three of them watch solemn as the crowds around them cheer and celebrate.
Max goes to talk to Liz and tells her it's not safe for them to spend time together, but she says she doesn't care. As the fireworks burn bright behind them, Liz thanks Max for saving her life, and he thanks her in return, then walks away into the night.
Okay, and I think that actually segues pretty well into the thesis I wanted to give or put forward.
Mm-hmm.
That this is basically the story of Max saving Liz's life and Liz saving his in return.
Oh, I like that very much.
Yes, and which is really a story with a lot of roots in science fiction. The idea of a human and an alien exchanging that kind of a life debt and coming to understand each other from it.
Yes, I'm not read up on a lot of science fiction, but that makes sense to me that would be prevalent.
Right.
And I think, too, even in not even just science fiction, but across really the literary canvas, you get that sort of gift and return, a life for a life, quite a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And as a theme, it's one which definitely speaks to the power and the value of Max's alien heritage, that he has a talent which is the only thing that could have saved Liz in that moment, and that his perspective also broadens her life after she finds out, or at least it seems to so far, and that in turn his life is of enough value that it's worth the efforts that Liz goes to save him.
No, but it's interesting, particularly because we pull out from very early on the violence that we attach to aliens, even before we
Right.
have much knowledge of them. And in fact, all we've actually seen so far from Max is a force for good.
Yes.
And you certainly get that sense that there's something worth fighting for there.
Yes. Although that's, I think, contrasted, at least in theory, with the alien violence represented by the picture. That
Yes, of
there's...
course. That second time we get the handprint, and
Yes.
it's not healing at all.
No.
Oh, Rennie! You have now very thoroughly met the cat, for which I apologise.
That's okay.
I am sorry. Was trying to keep her out of here, but apparently not.
Right.
Right. We were talking about aliens. And
We were. That's what we're doing here.
Oh, crumbs. All right. That does not normally happen. Shall we go on?
We can, yes. And I think the other side of the value of aliens, is to look at our two different alien hunters, Valenti and the mysterious Agent Stevens. I think with Valenti, it's a little hard at this point to really get a read on his motivations, or kind of with what he would do with an alien if you found one.
I don't know. We get from the aliens particularly the sense that they will be doomed if they're found out.
Right.
But it's not really borne out until we meet that FBI agent
Yes.
who, in spite of decrying all of Jim Valenti's theories, manages to just ooze sinisterness somehow.
Yeah. It's the fact that it's so businesslike for him, I think.
Yes. And I think, too, the fact that there is indeed a government branch, or
Yes.
at least a police branch, that's involved in this, and it's not just crazy tourists.
Whereas with Jim, we find out even at this point that it is something that's a family connection, that he had a father who was also interested in finding out the truth, and that Jim, when he was younger, thought that his father was a crackpot.
Yes,
Now-
and suddenly it's personal because he needs to almost vindicate him, rebuild his father's reputation.
That almost is something of a contrast with the way the trick is leveraged at the end, with
Oh, with Kyle,
Valenti
yes.
exposing his own son.
Yes, it makes a very neat counterpoint. He's so...
Right.
Oh, goodness, is myopic the right word? But very bent on catching the perpetrator.
Yeah, not myopic, but Tunnel vision,
Tunnel
I
vision,
think,
yes.
possibly. Yes. And I guess the two sides of that, with the value of the aliens and the motivations of the alien hunters, gives us some kind of a basis to look at this as a science fiction story in terms of the struggle between the two of those, the idea of the aliens being hunted because they don't belong here on Earth, or because some people think they don't belong here.
Yes, and certainly setting it in the high school makes a lot of sense in that context, because I think at the age we meet them, everybody feels an outsider.
Right.
And we get Isabel at
Yes.
one point too, I think, talking about, I finally have a quasi-normal existence, and you do this, and it's all
Right.
up in pieces now.
Yes. Ruin it in one act of lunacy.
That's it.
Yeah, that's something that I think we will get more of later on, but kind of the idea that Isabel has this strongest urge out of the three of them to be normal and just live a normal girl's life, whereas the two of Max and Michael are, I think, a little bit more comfortable as outsiders.
Yes, Michael particularly seems, I mean, active would be the wrong word at this stage, but certainly very curious about where they come from.
Yes, yes,
And he's got, well, I suppose, not quite upsetting, but certainly a poignant line where he talks about, no, Roswell is not home.
yes.
I'm not the one the Evanses found by the side of the road.
Yes, yes, and he, I think as much as he would deny it, there's very much an envy there that he sees the family life that the two of them lucked into and that he doesn't have in his own home situation.
Yes, and it's summed up so eloquently when it emerges that he's not one of these people that puts stock by things to live a
Right.
life. He gets into the
Yes.
car and Isabel says, "Where's all your stuff?" "Well, this is it," says Michael.
Yes, I'm wearing it.
"I'm wearing it."
And I did want to talk a little bit about the various alien powers that we get to see so far, which all work quite well. The healing itself, of course, the various the psychic connection that goes both way, with Max seeing bits of Liz's childhood and showing her a little bit of his life, which is this really
Yes.
crunchy premise of being able to actually see the world the way someone else sees it.
And more than that, to feel about it the way they feel
Yes.
about it, at least for a moment.
Yes.
It's a fascinating idea because I think even as you talk about how these people are aliens, on
Right.
some biological level, they bring to it an almost sort of superhuman empathy, and that's such a wonderfully
Yes.
human emotion. So to heighten that is there's something very interesting at the heart of that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is something that we're probably going to be tracking through this series, the way a love story unfolds with this kind of superhuman emotional connection being in the mix.
And it's I don't know, very earnest, but also a
Right.
very sweet, very compelling story.
And we also have the little glimpses of Isabel using her power in very secret but
But almost
also
casual
very
ways
practical
too.
ways.
Yeah.
Yes. Holding the CD up to her ear without a player and warming up her burrito.
Yeah, some of those are enviable, but
Yes.
I can only imagine having to be covert about that must be challenging.
Yes. Yes. We'll see that as well. Whereas Michael, I don't think we ever actually see him use his powers in the episode. There's a bit of
Interesting.
uncertainty about exactly how he gets the paint onto Maria in that perfect handprint pattern and whether powers are involved there.
But we don't stress it very hard, do we? I mean,
No,
it's
we
sort
don't.
of, I don't know. If you go looking for it, you're right, it's there.
Yes, yes. Possibly later we'll get an opinion on Michael's level of control over his powers that makes that particular feat somewhat unlikely.
Yes, and another, I think, on him artistically, which
Right.
might make more sense. But we'll get there when we get there.
Ah, yes, yes. And having drawn the handprint for the logo, I can testify to how tricky that can be.
Yes, I can imagine. As someone who could on a good day draw an apple. line of center. I suppose returning to the plan and the handprint, how do we feel about all the moving parts of that plan and its success?
To a certain extent, it is certainly fortunate that a number of moving pieces that were outside their control do line up quite well. Valenti chases the figure when he's supposed to chase him, loses him when he's supposed to lose him, catches Kyle at just about the right moment. And even Alex and the tourists who intrude on this scene and have not really been factored into it as far as I can tell, really add to the effect pretty well, with the tourist calling out to Valenti what he's supposed to notice at that moment, and Alex trying to interfere and getting knocked aside, which just kind of increases the menace of the caped figure.
Yes, it works pretty well, all things taken together.
Yes.
The plan and as an effect for furthering the narrative.
So Liz, to a certain extent, got very lucky with that, but even so, with all of that, it really didn't allay Valenti's suspicions that much. It just kind of gives him enough reasonable doubt that he knows he can't pursue things just at this moment.
Yes, I mean, it's certainly a risk, because surely drawing the attention of a man who is clearly hunting aliens to more potential alien activity is a calculated risk you've got to take, but it does seem to work, and we do get Max's wonderful vulnerability. Have I broken the law? Have I done something wrong?
Yes. Yeah, and also it makes it reasonable for Valenti to question, okay, is this actual alien activity or is this just teenage pranks gone wrong?
Yes. Because at this point, he's not actually got round to analysing Liz's dress, has he?
Yes.
It might as well be ketchup, and if it is, and that's a painted-on handprint, then...
Yeah.
Although I suppose that's something else that struck me when Kyle first saw that handprint. It's not terribly important, but really Liz lies terribly, because in the run-up to that alien festival, I suppose she could say off the top of her head, well, I was practicing my costume.
Yes. Yes.
It does look a bit like paint. Or at least enough like it that we can replicate it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point about Liz not really being able to lie or cover for Max particularly well. And I always kind of noticed that she, both times she was asked, says, no, I didn't recognize the kids. No, Max wasn't there. And Max doesn't even try to lie about that part. He, says, yes, I was there, and I ran away when things got scary.
Yes.
Which is a much more compelling narrative.
I suppose, arguably, he's had much more practice at covering up the truth, but...
Yes.
Even so, yeah. We see her much more capable in other places.
Yes, yes.
Especially when she's called upon to uncover the truth in the first place and is analysing those cells.
Yes, yes. Very quick thinking in that moment, but yeah, Liz is usually, I think, more competent when she has time to come up with a plan as opposed to on the spur of the moment.
As would anyone be, I suppose.
Well, yes.
Yes.
Some people, I think, thrive under that kind of pressure. Michael, I might be tempted to put him in that category.
Yes, I can see that. But Liz, the scientific mind,
yes.
No, she needs her plan.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's about it for the conversation. So now we each need to give this episode a rating. Chris?
I really liked it. I felt it was working well the whole way through, so I'm going to give it a rating of 3 crash landings. What about you?
I like it too. It sets up the world and its people nicely. I think I'll give it 2 bottles of Tabasco.
Okay, if you agree or disagree with us, please get in touch. You can find our blog on the web at alienscast.com or tweet to us at alienscast. And our Facebook page is facebook.com/alienscast. ALIENSCAST. Are you noticing a pattern here?
If you enjoyed this episode, please rate or review us on iTunes and help other Roswellian fans find us. Our theme music is Epic Trailer Intro by Honey Lemon.
This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Find out more by searching for Creative Commons. Join us next Monday, that's May the 1st, 2017, as we dissect episode 2 of season 1, the morning after. Until then, I'm Chris Calworth.
And I'm Claire. And this is Illegal Aliens, your podcast home for Roswell discussion.
Home? This podcast isn't home. It isn't even our solar system.